Good afternoon. Ask a Dutch local what gezelligheid means, and you get a pause, a smile, a shrug. It's not easily translated. It's not just cozy. It's not just nice or hygge. It's that glow of being together, of sharing coffee, laughing in a pub, eating warm food as the rain drums against the windows. It's belonging, it's safety, comfort. And it's everything that was lost very deeply during the dark years of occupation. On the 5th of May, the Netherlands celebrates Liberation Day, the end of World War II in this part of Europe. But what's being remembered isn't just a military victory. It's not only about waving flags or remembering generals. It's about the return of those small, beautiful things that war takes away. The right to gather, the freedom to laugh out loud, to sit in a square and eat warm stroopwafel without fear. To walk home at night with your coat smelling of coffee or beer or frying oil. Liberation in these parts didn't just bring back independence. It brought back gezelligheid. And if you really want to understand what that means, you don't need a dictionary. You just need to step off the ship in either of our upcoming ports in this northern part of mainland Europe, a part of Europe that really felt the brunt of World War II. Because whether it's fries eaten on a pier, kibelling from a seaside van, or the sound of spoons clinking against teacups, you'll find that the heart of freedom here is not found in museums, it's found on plates, it's found in cups, it's found around every shared table. So today we're not going to explore Belgium and the Netherlands, we're going to taste them. And along the way, we'll come to rediscover how comfort food and freedom are two sides of the same coin. It's easy to forget that with a warm cone of fries in your hand, just how cold this region once was. Not just from the North Sea winds, but from fear. During World War II, Belgium and the Netherlands were among the first to fall. Belgium was invaded in May 1940. The Netherlands surrendered just days later after Rotterdam was bombed into near oblivion. The ports that we're going to be visiting, Zeebrugge and IJmuiden, were turned into military strongholds. Their coastlines choked by barbed wire and concrete. Locals lived under curfew, churches were watched, radios were confiscated, families whispered over empty tables. And food? Food was rationed, hoarded, hidden, lost. Butter was a luxury, coffee was a memory, and potatoes were gold. The occupying forces didn't just take land. They took the joy of sitting together at a cafe and ordering the usual. They took the habit of stopping by the fishmonger for a bite of something salty and fried. They took gezelligheid and they replaced it with silence. By the time liberation came in 1944 for much of Belgium, 1945 for the Netherlands, people weren't just celebrating the fall of the Reich. They were celebrating the return of life's small pleasures. A full plate, a second cup, a slice of something sweet. And the resistance wasn't just in the streets, it was in the kitchens. And what came back when the dust settled wasn't just peace, it was flavor. The old recipes were pulled back out. The cafes reopened, the people gathered again. And from that first post-war friteur to the first fresh herring of spring, the taste of freedom was slowly, quietly fried in oil and stirred in with spoons. Nowhere is that more evident than in Zeebrugge and IJmuiden, places where the war passed through hard, but where life came back mouthful by mouthful. If you want to understand Belgium, you don't need a history book. You just need a good square of delicious chocolate, the kind that snaps when you bite it, melts on your tongue and makes your eyes close without meaning to. In Belgium, Chocolate isn't a treat, it's a tradition. It's an art. And after the war, it was one of the first things that made people feel human again. During the occupation, chocolate all but vanished. Cocoa was impossible to get. Real sugar was scarce. So what remained behind was bitter, chalky, and fake. A poor imitation of the joy people remembered. But when peace returned, so did the real stuff. In towns and cities all over Belgium, including Bruges, just a short drive from Zeebrugge, chocolatiers reopened their shutters. Some had hidden their recipes in floorboards, some had survived on nothing but memory and hope. But now they stood behind their counters once more, offering those little parcels of joy in tiny paper boxes. And here's the thing, chocolate didn't just return to taste good, it returned to feel good. A gift of chocolate meant something more than sugar. It meant you're safe now. It meant life can be sweet again. It meant we're still here. Even today, there's a kind of reverence in Belgian chocolate shops. You don't just buy chocolate. You step into these quiet little temples of craftsmanship where every truffle, every praline is placed with care, where the conversation slows, where you're not just a customer, you're part of a ritual. And that too is Gezelligheid. Because what could be more human than pressing a piece of chocolate into someone's hand and watching their eyes light up? What better way to say, I'm glad you're here. Sit with me, let's be alive together. So yes, the fries are glorious. We're going to get to them in a bit. But in Belgium, it's the chocolate that speaks the loudest of love and resilience. Now, by the end of the war, the Netherlands was starving. The winter of 1944 to 45 became known as the Hunger Winter. Food supplies were cut off, and tens of thousands of people died from malnutrition. Bread was made from tulip bulbs. Families ate soup made from wallpaper paste. What people longed for wasn't luxury, it was normality. A slice of bread, a cup of coffee that wasn't made from roasted chicory. And I mean it, I'm not being dramatic when I say that people were digging up tulip bulbs to eat them. There is no poetic license when I say that people made soup from wallpaper paste. It's tragic, it's horrifying actually. But sadly, it is totally true. Over the hunger winter of 1944 into 1945, over 20,000 people died of starvation in the Western Netherlands, particularly in cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, due to a Nazi blockade of food and fuel shipments after a Dutch railway strike that was intended to support Allied advances. So when liberation came in May 1945, it wasn't marked by champagne and parades. It was marked by the return of the ordinary, a real cup of coffee, a piece of herring, a place to sit and eat without fear. And in ports like IJmuiden, which had been heavily damaged and evacuated by the Germans to make the Atlantic Wall, rebuilding daily life took years. But the return of food culture, basic, familiar, humble food, was a central part of that recovery. To this day, the arrival of the first herring of the season, known as Holland's New, is treated with something close to reverence in the Netherlands. Each year in early June, the season opens with Vlaggenstag, which is Flags Day, in the port of Scheveningen. And the first barrel of herring is auctioned for charity. Fishing boats are decorated with flags, brass bands play, families gather for a tradition that's more than just a seafood celebration. It's a ritual that reflects something much deeper than culinary pride. During World War II, herring nearly disappeared from Dutch markets, not just because of shortages and rationing, but because the North Sea became a battlefield. Fishing was dangerous, heavily restricted. Many vessels were seized, sunk, or repurposed by German forces. IJmuiden, once one of the busiest fishing ports in the country, was turned into a German military zone and evacuated entirely in 1943. Boats were destroyed, harbours mined, entire communities displaced. When the war ended, the return of the Dutch fishing was slow, it was uncertain. But by the late 1940s, as the industry began to recover, the reappearance of fresh herring became such a powerful symbol, not just of restored livelihoods, but of restored freedom. People could once again eat where they wanted, with the people that they loved. And herring, humble, salty, eaten with the hands, became part of that shared national identity. Today, eating Holland's New isn't just about tradition. It's a way of remembering that there was once a time when even the simplest of foods were forbidden, or dangerous, or just unavailable. It's a small, briny reminder that freedom often returns not in trumpets, but in mouthfuls. Coffee houses, too, became central again, not just for the drink itself, but for the freedom to sit together unafraid, to talk openly, to read a newspaper without censors. What had once been every day was now precious. And this is where the concept of Gezelligheid became so meaningful, because it wasn't about luxury. It was about safety. It was about connection, the ability to reclaim normal life. And that's the heart of Liberation Day. Not just what was won, but what was restored. Let's open the portal now and collect our next two ports of call, Zeebrugge and IJmuiden, and then we're going to get back into the food with a nice cup of triple fried fries and mayonnaise. Alrighty, this is the port of Zeebrugge. As you can see, very similar sort of gangway setup from what we're getting used to here in this part of Europe. So it's one of their shoreside gangways which they have to lift in with a crane. Quite a long gangway off. It's a good port in Zeebrugge, but it's not immediately by the ship. So we're all going to be getting onto shuttle buses from the pier side. And those shuttle buses will take us through to Blankenberge. And if you do want to go to the terminal, I think there's going to be another shuttle bus which just goes to the terminal gate. Everybody needs to have their passports in Belgium, and you will be asked to show that when you come back in. So make sure you've got that with you. Even crew members have to take their passport off here. Here it is on a map. So, the pier to port gate, call it 5 minutes. You have to do it at least that far because we can't walk in the port. But most people, I think, will take this one from the pier or the port gate through to Blankenberge, and that's the town that's just along the road from the port. You could walk it, it's a long walk. I've previously rollerbladed it before, narrowly escaped death a few times. I wouldn't necessarily recommend rollerblading it, but I don't think most of you brought your rollerblades with on this occasion. All right, let's get into our top 10 for Zeebrugge. Just north of Zeebrugge, Blankenberge Beach. It's a long, sandy stretch. It's been a favourite seaside escape for Belgians for generations. It's relaxed, it's family-friendly, it's dotted with cafes and beach huts along the promenade. And the centrepiece is a Belgian pier, which I'll talk about in a bit, 1930s Art Deco structure that stretches 350 metres into the North Sea. And on a sunny day, this is a place for strolling, people watching, enjoying a drink, sitting out in the breeze. In the summer, we're a little bit early for this, but they do events on the beach, festivals. But even in the off-season, which technically we are right now, there's still something unmistakably local, nostalgic, and welcoming about this whole place. Tucked away on a narrow side street of Blankenberge is the Huis van Mahoota. Now this is a tiny whitewashed cottage, easy to miss, impossible to forget. It was built in the late 1700s, and it's the oldest surviving fisherman's house on the Belgian coast. Step inside, you'll find low wooden beams, delft tiles, a hearth where salted fish once hung to dry must have stunk in there. Today it's a cafe and a museum, a part time capsule, part community space. You can sip coffee, try a local Sluffercook. Imagine the 14 people who once lived in that space. 14 people. It's quiet. It's a powerful reminder of just how ordinary life endures. But it has recently been sold to new owners. So it may or may not be open yet for us to visit because the new owners have taken that information down from the website for now. If you've ever wondered what seaside holidays looked like 100 years ago, pop into the Belle Epoque Centrum. It's tucked inside a row of restored 19th century villas, just a couple of minutes back from the beach. And back in the day, Blankenberge was the place for a proper bourgeois escape. Parasols, lace gloves, promenading along the waterfront. And this museum lets you walk through that, through the old rooms, see what the people wore, what they read, what they decorated. Even the original tiled floors are still there. It's full of charm. It's a lovely way to step back into this town's heyday. And if you're walking the promenade in Blankenberge, then you can't miss the Belgian Pier. As I mentioned before, it's a 350-metre walkway, stretches right out into the North Sea. And it's actually the only pier of its kind in the whole country, which makes it something a bit special. It was built in the 1930s to replace an earlier version that was destroyed in World War I, and it's got a real Art Deco feel for it. At the end, there's this round pavilion. They've got a cafe. They've got views back towards the beach. It's a great spot just for a slow wander, just to stand still and take it all in. And that is about it in Blankenberge. You've got some shops there as well, some chocolate shops, some good places for beers. If you like beer, Belgium's got loads of different beer options. But that's your lot when it really comes to Blankenberge. So let's head into Bruges, which is a short train ride from Blankenberge. And guess where the shuttle bus drops us off? Right outside the train station. All right, here we go for number 5. Burg Square in Bruges is one of those places where every building tells a different story. Gothic, Baroque, Renaissance, they're all piled together like a very polite architectural argument. But tucked somewhere in this beautiful square, near the town hall, is a little local secret. A bronze frog. According to tradition, if you give it a kiss, you'll return to Bruges one day. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is. That's part of the fun. Just keep your eyes open and maybe your lips ready. See if you can spot the frog before anybody else does. But whether you're the first one to find the frog or you see a line of others already going in for a smooch, my advice, don't be a romantic. Squirt a healthy dose of sanitizer on that frog first. If you got the legs for it, the Belfort Tower is one of the best climbs in Bruges. 366 steps to the top. And totally worth it for the view. It's a 13th century bell tower. It's watched over the city for centuries. And you still hear the bells ringing out across the rooftops. Plus, it's included in the Zeebrugge card. This is an amazing city card. It covers loads of the top sites for 33 euros. Really great value if you plan to visit a few places. Essentially, if you want to visit 2 or more places, you should get the card because it will save you money. Now, here's just a tip. In this one, the stairway gets narrow, especially near the top. So it's one for the sure-footed, and it is not one for the claustrophobic. Now, you've heard of art museums. I'm sure you've been to a couple of history museums this voyage, but only in Belgium will you find an entire museum dedicated to fries. The Fright Museum in Bruges walks you through the story of the humble potato from its origins in Peru to its deep-fried glory in Belgian cones. It's quirky, it's fun, and yes, there's a cafe in the basement where you can sample the goods. Entries included with the museum card, the Bruges card, so it's a no-brainer. If you're already visiting other sites, throw this one in, and it's a really fun way to appreciate just how seriously Belgians take their national dish. And if you've ever wondered how ordinary people lived in Bruges a century or two ago, then the Volkskunde Museum gives you the full picture. No castles, no crowns, just everyday life. It's set inside a row of 17th century almshouses. It recreates old classrooms, tailor shops, kitchens. There's even a traditional pharmacy there. And it's a great contrast to all of the grand churches, the towers. This is Bruges from the ground level. And it's also included in the Bruges card. So if you're already doing a few stops, you might as well add this one in. And yes, there's another cafe for a cozy break. But if you are keen to explore Bruges' rich artistic heritage, then the Groningen Museum is a must visit. This museum offers a journey through 6 centuries of Belgian art, featuring masterpieces from the Flemish primitives like Jan van Eyck, Hans Memling, to modern works by artists such as Magritte. It's a place where you can witness the evolution of art styles and techniques that have shaped European art history. So whether you're an art aficionado, whether you're just a bit curious, the Groningen Museum provides a captivating glimpse into the region's cultural legacy. The final one, also in Bruges, is the Onze Lieve Vrouwe Kerke. I don't know who named it. In English, it's the Church of Our Lady. You can't miss it. 115-meter tall brick tower rising above Bruges skyline. It's one of the tallest brick structures, not only here, but in the whole world. But the real treasure is inside. Michelangelo's Madonna and Child sits there quietly tucked away in one of the side chapels. Didn't even get the central piece. One of the side chapels. It's one of the only sculptures of his to leave Italy during his lifetime. And the church also holds tombs of some local nobility, beautiful Gothic details throughout. An entry into the museum section of the site is included in the Bruges Pass, so you can add that one in as well. But even just stepping inside the nave is worth the pause. Let's put all of these onto a map. I've actually split these across onto 2 maps for you. So this is the Zeebrugge Blankenberge section. You can also see there's the Sea Life Centre as well. I didn't mention that in the top 10, but they've got an aquarium here as well, Sea Life. And then let's head through to the next map, and this is Bruges. You can see that the train station in Bruges is just on the outside of the old city. The old city has the canal running around it. And then you'll walk from there, probably looking at about a 20-minute walk in. And if you are going into Bruges, don't expect the streets to be flat and smooth. This is a proper old town. Alrighty, let's move into IJmuiden. So IJmuiden isn't a postcard town. It's a working port with grit, history, and a strong sense of identity. Built around the North Sea Canal in the 19th century, it became the industrial gateway to Amsterdam, known for fishing, for steel, for salt in the air. And then during World War II, it was evacuated. It was heavily fortified by the Germans as part of what they were calling the Atlantic Wall. Most of the original town was lost, but what emerged after the war was a tight-knit, no-nonsense community that still defines IJmuiden today. This is the gangway. It's quite a structure, and so you'll go down this ramp all the way down to ground level. Then you'll walk for about 6 kilometers to get to the terminal. Those of you who've been to IJmuiden before know what I'm talking about. What you've got is quite a long walk. You're going to walk the length of the ship, then the length of a ship again, and maybe the length of half a ship more than that. There is going to be at least one golf buggy to help people who don't want to or can't do that walk, and that's going to take you to the terminal building, which isn't very large itself, but this port is quite a walk to get to the terminal building. I'm going to put it on a map for you. All right, so we are arriving into IJmuiden on Liberation Day. So, we've made some slightly different plans from what we might typically do in IJmuiden, and our intention here is to give you the best day and to avoid some of the major crowds that are going to be hitting Amsterdam in particular. So what we're going to do is we're running a complimentary shuttle bus service to Haarlem. And so if you would like to take that, you jump on the bus at the IJmuiden terminal, the cruise ship terminal, and that'll take you to Haarlem, 20-minute drive. From Haarlem, it's a nice town, so you could just stay and enjoy Haarlem. Lots of people miss Haarlem because they're heading to Amsterdam or Rotterdam, and so see somewhere that you don't usually see. Or, this is the best way for you to then get to Amsterdam, by jumping on the train in Haarlem and taking the train across to Amsterdam. So this is your best journey to get to Amsterdam on this occasion because of Liberation Day. We are expecting public transport to be very busy on this occasion because everybody's got the day off. It's a national holiday, and an important national holiday at that. The shuttle bus is going to drop you off outside the train station at Haarlem. So it'll be very easy to hop across onto the train if that's your plan. Also very easy to walk from the train station into the town itself. So I'm going to break up this bit into 3 of each. 3 from IJmuiden. Yes, I managed 3. 3 from IJmuiden, 3 for Haarlem, 3 for Amsterdam. All right, let's start with IJmuiden Beach, which is not your typical sunbathing spot. It's one of the widest beaches in the Netherlands, and it's got this raw, open feel that matches the town's industrial edge. You've got a lot of space here. If you're interested in kite surfing or blow karting, or just a long wind-blown walk, this is your place. This beach is backed up by dunes that still hold World War II bunkers. Very interesting to see. That was part of the old Atlantic Wall and now slowly being reclaimed by the sand and the grasses. There are a few beach cafes open. The vibe is more local than touristy. It's a place where the sea feels big, the sky feels bigger, and the crowds are blissfully thin. And you can walk across there pretty easily. By the way, before we go into the next highlight, in order to get across, you're going to have to climb up, across, and down. You'll see it instantly when we get to the terminal area. It's this big high wall, and there are stairs to go up. You can get nice pictures from the top, but then you have to come down on the other side. It's about 15 to 20 stairs. It's a full flight, maybe a flight and a half. These are interesting, especially if you liked the Panama Canal. The North Sea locks at IJmuiden are among the largest and most important in the world. It was a feat of Dutch engineering that keeps the port of Amsterdam connected to the open sea. They were originally built in the 19th century. They were expanded over time, and they allow massive ships to pass between the saltwater and the freshwater, managing tides, water levels with remarkable precision. In 2022, a brand new sea lock was completed, the largest of its kind in the world, and it continues to ensure that IJmuiden is a key player in global shipping. It's not a tourist attraction, but if you're interested in watching infrastructure in action, then it's fascinating to head by for a visit. Just outside IJmuiden, the Herendune. Very difficult language, Dutch, isn't it? Not for the Dutch, no. Herendune National Park is a peaceful escape. I didn't even try the second bit. Is a peaceful escape into nature. I'll try it now. This area of the Zuid-Kennemerland. Kennemerland? Close enough, I'll take it. Features winding trails through ancient oak forests, open dunes. Along the way, you might spot deer or foxes or highland cattle just grazing freely. There is a green-marked trail. It's about 4.5 kilometers. It would take you roughly an hour and a half to complete. And the main entrance is located on the road called Herendwinnerweg, Come on. Herenduneweg. Thank you, that was it. Very close, very close. You'll find it between the swimming pool and the tennis courts. So that's easier. Just look for the swimming pool and tennis courts, and then the entrance is between the two. It's a perfect spot for a quiet walk, blend of natural beauty, a touch of history with the remnants of World War II scattered through the landscape. And just good luck trying to find your way back. If the cows don't get you. All right, let's move to Amsterdam. If you're heading to Amsterdam, the Rijksmuseum is one of those places that really does live up to the hype. It's the national museum of the Netherlands. It's home to masterpieces by Rembrandt, Vermeer, Frans Hals, the works that have shaped Dutch identity. The night watch alone is worth the visit, but there's also furniture, ship models, Delftware. The building itself is stunning, a 19th century palace of culture, a bicycle path running right through the middle. It's big but not overwhelming, and you don't need to be an art expert to enjoy it. Just curious and maybe a little patient. I would expect it to be extremely busy tomorrow. Not tomorrow, on the 5th. Also probably going to be busy tomorrow. I would imagine, probably busy every day. This one's great. I really enjoyed this one. The Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam gives you something more than just a look at his art. It gives you a window into the man himself. Home to the largest collection of Van Gogh's work anywhere in the world. This museum traces his life from early sketches to those bright swirling canvases that came later. You'll find famous pieces like the sunflowers, almond blossom, but also letters, personal items. They tell a deeper story. The layout is easy to follow. You don't need to be an art expert here to connect with it. Just open to seeing how one life can express so much. They do ticketed entry, timed tickets. You can book in advance if you'd like to on their website. This is what I did. I was then running late, and so I missed my timed ticket. And so a little bit of advice for you if you ever have a similar situation. All you need to do is you change your clock 1 hour back. It was an idea I got from the ships because we do it all the time. You change your clock 1 hour back, and then if they happen to say to you, sorry, you're late, you go, no. And then you say, I just got here for my flight. I haven't changed my clock. I'm on the wrong time zone. Then you start crying, and then they let you in anyway. The Bloemenmarkt is Amsterdam's floating flower market. It's one of the only of its kind in the world. It's been around since 1862. Stalls are built on old houseboats. They're sitting on the canal, so it's really floating. These days it's a mix of flower bulbs, souvenirs, plenty of tulip-themed everything. But if you're after a little bit of Dutch tradition, this is a really fun stop. But just know it's more about browsing than botanical rarity. You can pick up some bulbs to take home, check custom rules, of course. Just enjoy the colourful displays, the canal views. It's very touristy, but it's fun all the same. I would expect that this is going to be so busy on the 5th that some of those boats may well now be underwater from the weight of the people stepping along them. Let's head across to Haarlem. The Grote Markt is Haarlem's historic heart. It's got a lively square there where locals gather, markets buzz in the middle. You've got the centuries of stories echoing off the cobblestones. And then towering over it is the Grote Kerk, or St. Bavo's Church, a Gothic masterpiece, 246-foot spire, and the world-famous Muller organ. That was an organ, by the way, that once wowed Mozart. Right next door, the Stadhuis, the city hall, blends medieval roots with a Renaissance facade designed by Leven de Key, and it's still the seat of local government and a favourite spot for weddings. If people get married in the city, they love that building. If you're taking the shuttle into Haarlem, then this square is a great place for your adventure to begin. It's about an 11-minute walk down from the train station. I mean, Netherlands and the windmills just go hand in hand, don't they? So a short walk from Haarlem's Grote Markt is the Windmill de Adrian, perched right over the river, originally built in 1779. This is one of the most photographed spots in town, and for good reason. The current structure is a faithful reconstruction because the original was destroyed in a fire in 1932, and this was only rebuilt in 2002. But you can take a guided tour inside to learn how it worked, to climb up there, get great views, to get a feel for how essential windmills were to Dutch life. It's not just a postcard image. This is a working part of Haarlem's story. And if you've got time to wander, don't miss the Goedenstraatjes, the golden streets. These are a collection of charming side streets filled with independent shops, cozy cafes, little boutiques that are far more fun than the usual high street chains. You'll find everything: Dutch design, vintage clothing, artisan chocolates, antiques. It's the kind of place where you pop in for just a look and then you come out with bags of stuff that you didn't know you needed. And no big crowds, no rush, just a lovely way to experience Haarlem at a more relaxed local pace. Just bring some curiosity. All right, 3 maps for you here. This one is IJmuiden itself, the highlight of the Netherlands. Now we'll move on to Amsterdam. And I feel like I've been mean to Amsterdam. There are, of course, way more than 3 highlights in Amsterdam. It's a fabulous city. However, on this occasion, we're really not encouraging people to think of it as your first choice. It's going to be extremely busy. It is the heart of the festivities. And so, with that in mind, this particular occasion might not be the best time, especially if you've been before. It might be the time to explore somewhere else on this occasion. I also didn't include in this Anne Frank's house, even though for me it is an absolute top highlight in Amsterdam. And the reason I didn't include that is it's totally sold out on the day we're there. If you do come back to Amsterdam and you would like to visit there, very interesting, very moving place to visit, you will want to book your tickets for that months in advance. If a tour is going there, then they will have already booked it months in advance on your behalf. Amsterdam tours are still running. If you've booked them, they're going. Yeah. And this is Haarlem. You can see that the bus right by the train station, so that's nice and convenient. And then you got a lovely walk in, and just like Bruges, just like Amsterdam, another beautiful town and city with canals running through it. If you are looking for a monument to freedom, you won't find it carved in marble on a Belgian street. You will find it wrapped in paper. Hot, greasy, and golden, handed across a wooden counter with a nod and a smile. Friet. Not chips, not fries in the American sense. Friet. Triple fried, thick cut, perfectly salted, and served with a proud dollop of mayonnaise or curry ketchup or tartar sauce. And while they may seem like simple street food, the fruit stands that line the seafront of Blankenberge or the city streets of Amsterdam are the ones that reappeared after the war are more than just snack stops. They were proof of return, because during the occupation, these stands were shuttered. Cooking oil was rationed. Potatoes were hoarded. Fried food was a luxury most people couldn't dream of. So when the shops reopened, and you could walk up once again to the counter, hear the sizzle of a basket hitting the oil, feel the sting of that salt in the sea breeze, it wasn't just a snack. It was a statement. A reminder that you were allowed to gather again, to laugh again, to eat outdoors in public without fear. And that's what liberation means in this part of Europe. It's not just history, but recovery. Not just politics, but people. The quiet, everyday things that war takes away and peace slowly, stubbornly brings back. So when we arrive in Zeebrugge or IJmuiden, take a moment, step off the gangway, smell that harbour air, but then find a kiosk, order a cone. Don't rush, because that first bite of something hot and salty shared with someone beside you might be the most honest celebration of freedom you'll taste all trip. Thank you.